Dear Miss Try, thank you for taking the Mensa Supervised IQ test. Your score is...
Recently I've put my body to the test, doing a number of health and fitness assessments. And it got me thinking, how fit and healthy is my brain? I've been curious to know my IQ score for some time, so I headed to Northampton University to do a Mensa Supervised IQ test to rate my intelligence.
I've just arrived at the university. I mean, I know it shouldn't be a big deal, but I think, oh, this is going to be really fun. And then I get here and I think, what am I doing? I'm doing an IQ test. But actually, I really like stuff like this. In my head, it's non-verbal reasoning, patterns, numbers, things like that, which I really enjoy. When I really think about it, I'm nervous, but on the surface, this is just a fun day out, doing something different.
An IQ stands for Intelligence Quotient. A score which is given from a set of standardised tests to measure someone's mental ability. 95% of people's IQ falls between 70 and 130, with the average being 100. And to get into Mensa, which is an organisation for people with a high IQ, one must score in the top 2%.
There's about 10 minutes until we go in. I'm sitting in the toilet, if you hadn't already guessed. I'm not allowed to film other people, obviously, but there's about 10 people in the waiting room. All different kinds of people, all different ages, from all different backgrounds. It's funny because it's like no one's talking to each other, but everyone's kind of looking at each other. Not sussing each other out, but I just suppose it's quite natural to just be like, oh, you're here. And I'm wondering why people are here. I would love to find out the reasons.
So while we all go up to the test room, here's a few facts. Mensa has over 130,000 members worldwide, and the word Mensa means table in Latin, as in a group of people sitting around a table discussing things. And it was founded in England in 1946 by a barrister called Roland Berrell and Dr. Lance Ware, a scientist and lawyer. There were 11 people taking the test, and there was men and women of all ages and all backgrounds. And the oldest person there was a man aged 76, and the youngest girl was aged 10 and 7 months. She told me her precise age, which was adorable, and when I asked if she was excited to be there, she said,
"No, not really. I'd rather be at home watching YouTube."
Lee, the test invigilator, didn't waste any time getting started. He gave a wonderful introduction about Mensa, the test, and what it represents.
Finding you have either a high or a low intelligence is neither an accolade nor an indictment of you as an individual, as it is outside of your control.
There were 2 tests, and each test was split into several sections, and each section had a strict amount of time to complete it. The first test was a Cattell B test, and this isn't specially designed for Mensa. This is a standardised test that's used in most IQ tests. And the Cattell test has been used since 1949 and was written by Raymond Cattell to measure cognitive abilities free of socio-cultural and environmental influences. And I think that means that basically anyone can do it, irrespective of background or education. It had things like non-verbal reasoning, synonyms, classification, opposites and analogies. And I say those words like I know what they mean, but I don't know what they mean, but it did make more sense when doing the test. I can't share any of the questions that I did in the test, but I can share similar ones, and if you're keen to see an example of a supervised Mensa IQ test, then you can go online and do a free online workout, and I've added a link to that workout in the description and the pinned comment. In the first test, the questions started off quite easy, but as it went on, the intensity soon ramped up, and before I knew it, we were straight on to the next section. There was no time to check answers or to even fill out any of the missed questions. It was fast, really fast. Then we took a break before the next test.
Oh my goodness. So we just did the first set of tests, and it was just like a whirlwind. It was so fast, and it was non-verbal reasoning, which I'm usually quite good at, but it started off easy and then it got hard really quick, and the tests were really short, between 2 and 4 minutes. It's quite usual to not be able to finish all of the answers in the time, so it was like a race against the time, and each test that went on I was just thinking, right, I've got to answer all these questions, but my brain was hurting so much. I would love to get it back and just spend more time on the answers, but the time just wasn't there. And then I suppose there's some people that are just, they're wired to just see the answers instantly, and some people who maybe don't see the answers. I felt confident about non-verbal reasoning, and now I'm not as confident.
This test was tougher than I thought it would be, but also it was quite enjoyable doing something new. And I'm all about trying new things, which is why I'm happy to have Skillshare sponsor this video. You may know Skillshare for classes on photography and illustration, but it also has hundreds of career classes, a great opportunity to learn something new. I've been using Skillshare to not only help with my job as a YouTuber, but also to explore other creative things to improve my work and my life. One of my favourite classes recently is How We Learn and Mindset by the awesome YouTuber Mike Boyd. The teachers go step by step and it's distraction free with no ads. So if you're interested in learning something new, you can get 1 month free of Skillshare by using the link in the description, and that's valid for the first 1,000 people. After the break, we got straight into test 2, which was the culture fair test. And to be honest, I can't really remember what it was about because my brain was already hurting so much from test 1. From what I can remember, this was more based on words and kind of riddles. The kind of thing of, if Mary is your cousin and Joe is your brother, what's the surname of David? Like that kind of thing. All that stuff really confuses me. And again, this test was quick.
That was so intense. I didn't think that it would be that intense, and it was just a race against the clock. And if I had been at home, just relaxing, reading the questions at my leisure, working it all up, but that was like, I just couldn't think quick enough, and actually I was trying to think so fast that my thinking got in my way. But actually it was super fun and a different way of using my brain than I usually would in everyday life.
Would you like to do an IQ test? Or maybe you've already done one. Let me know your thoughts or your experience in the comments.
Okay, I'm back in the car. My brain is aching. It's actually aching. I haven't used it in that way for such a long time, thinking about questions and puzzles and scenarios and patterns that I don't think about in my everyday life. It was really full on, quite intense, thoroughly enjoyable, really interesting. And I think now I'm just going to go and get some lunch and then just go home and flop. I actually feel like I've done a workout in my brain.
Doing a supervised Mensa test in the UK costs £30, which I think is quite reasonable because it was a fun day out doing something different. And there's test centres all over the country and all over the world. And from what I've seen from other IQ tests that are available online, they are nothing like the one that I did.
I've received my email with my score on, but first I just want to mention a few things.
Before making this video, I didn't really understand what IQ and Mensa was about. And I thought if someone had a high IQ, they would be good with knowledge and memory, be able to reel off a list of facts, and that perhaps people in Mensa were elite and unbelievably clever. But it seems that that isn't what this is about.
The questions in this test are to find out how clearly you think. They are not concerned with how much you know.
I've watched some other videos on YouTube about IQ, and the word pretentious can come up, but what I've learned is that IQ is an innate skill, something we're born with, like being strong or tall, that kind of thing. And from what I can gather, Mensa is a group of people that think in a certain way and at a certain speed. I suppose much like a group of dancers or a group of musicians, a community of people with similar interests and patterns of thought. And then it got me thinking about the word clever. And clever can mean so many things. And IQ is only one way to measure intelligence, but it doesn't take into consideration emotional intelligence, social skills and creativity. And sometimes it can feel as though there's a stigma attached to people with a high IQ, and maybe that shouldn't be the case. As Lee, the test invigilator, told me, he's a member of Mensa, yet he can't put up a shelf in the house, but he is good at working certain stuff out. and he was just a regular guy. I wonder where this stigma of intelligent people comes from, and I think it probably comes from schools where we're frequently assessed on how clever we are. And from all this, I've learned that IQ is about mental agility. I suppose it's like the equivalent of someone having fast legs. Other people have a fast brain. And it was really important for me to put this part in because after watching quite a lot of other videos, I just found that there was this vibe, this not very nice vibe attached to IQ testing and Mensa. And the fact is we all have different skills and we all have different abilities, and that's okay. That's what makes the world a great place. Anyway, got a bit distracted there. I've got the email with my score on, but I haven't opened it yet because I wanted to wait to do it on camera. Dear Miss Try, thank you for taking the Mensa Supervised IQ test. Your score on the Cattell B scale is 131, and on the Culture Fair scale it's 117. And I didn't realise that I was going to get 2 scores actually. I wonder if I can do an average. Average of the 2 is 124. It's not in the top 2%, which means I won't be invited to Mensa, but that's okay because I really enjoyed myself and I had a super cool day. In my next videos, I'll be putting my body to the test. So if you like stuff like that, then hopefully I'll see you in those videos too.